First contact. The quantum research facility at Mount Wilson Observatory wasn't used to visitors, especially not on a foggy Tuesday morning. But as Marcus Reed adjusted his microscope settings, he knew this day would be different. The soft hum of advanced equipment filled the laboratory, interrupted only by the gentle tapping of rain against reinforced windows. "Dr. Reed," his assistant Thomas called from the doorway. "They're here." Marcus straightened his lab coat, trying to calm his racing heart. After 20 years of studying quantum signatures in deep space, first contact was about to happen in his lab. The door whispered open, revealing a delegation unlike anything he'd imagined. Thera stood just over 6 feet tall, her crystalline skin refracting light in subtle patterns. Where human eyes would be, she had what appeared to be opal-like sensors that shifted colors with each movement. Behind her, 2 other members of her species, the Lumini, waited quietly. "Welcome to Earth," Marcus managed, his voice steady despite his awe. "I'm Dr. Marcus Reed." Thera tilted her head, the patterns on her skin shifting like northern lights. "Your quantum signature is fascinating, Dr. Reed. It resonates at frequencies I've never encountered before." Marcus blinked, surprised. "You can perceive quantum signatures directly." "All Lumini can," she replied, moving gracefully through the lab without any guidance. "But those like myself, born without traditional sight, develop enhanced quantum perception. We see the universe's underlying fabric." The implications staggered Marcus. His team had spent decades developing technology to detect and measure quantum patterns. The Lumini could do it naturally. "That's why you chose our facility for first contact," he realized. "You detected our quantum research." Thera's skin brightened slightly. "Yes, your work caught our attention because it parallels our own understanding of reality. But you achieve through technology what we perceive naturally. The combination could be revolutionary." Over the next hours, Thera demonstrated abilities that defied human understanding. She could see the quantum state of particles, predict quantum entanglement patterns, and even influence quantum behavior through what she called resonance harmonics. "Our species evolved these abilities over millions of years," she explained, her fingers trailing over complex equipment with surprising familiarity. "We learned to perceive the quantum realm because our homeworld's radiation made traditional vision unreliable." Marcus watched in amazement as she perfectly navigated his lab, her crystalline form flowing between instruments with ethereal grace. "And your lack of traditional sight enhanced these abilities." "Precisely. Without visual input, my brain devoted more resources to quantum perception. I can see things other Lumini cannot. Subtle patterns, complex interactions, the very dance of reality itself." But as they worked, Marcus noticed something troubling. Each time Thera demonstrated her abilities, her crystalline skin dimmed slightly. Whatever power she used seemed to drain her. "You're concerned about my energy levels," she stated, sensing his worry through quantum fluctuations. "Don't be. This is why we sought contact. Our abilities are growing stronger, but our bodies struggle to contain them. We believe human technology might help us achieve balance." Marcus leaned forward, intrigued. "And in return, we offer partnership. Your technology combined with our natural abilities could unlock mysteries neither of our species could solve alone. There are patterns in the quantum realm that suggest possibilities, discoveries that could change everything." As the fog outside thickened, Marcus realized this was just the beginning. Humanity's understanding of the universe was about to be transformed, led by a blind alien who saw more than any human ever could. But neither of them yet knew the true scope of what they'd discover together, nor the dangers that their collaboration would soon uncover in the quantum realm. Hidden talents. The laboratory hummed with new energy as banks of quantum sensors tracked patterns no human technology had ever detected before. 3 weeks had passed since Thera's arrival, and Marcus watched in fascination as she worked with his team, her crystalline form casting prismatic patterns across the lab's white walls. "There's something unusual about these readings," Thera said, her opal-like sensors shifting through shades of blue and violet. Her fingers traced patterns in the air, following quantum signatures invisible to human eyes. The baseline resonance is changing. Dr. Janet Torres, the team's quantum mechanics expert, studied the readouts with growing excitement. She's right. These patterns shouldn't be possible according to our current models. Marcus approached the main display, where shifting waves of data reflected off Thera's crystalline skin. Over the past weeks, they'd learned that her quantum perception went far beyond simple observation. She could interact with quantum states, guide particle behavior, and even predict quantum outcomes with uncanny accuracy. "Show me what you're sensing," he requested, activating the new interface they'd developed to translate Thera's perceptions into visual data. The air above the quantum array filled with holographic patterns, representing what Thera could naturally perceive. Waves of probability collapsed and reformed, showing the quantum dance at a level of detail that left the human scientists speechless. "There," Thera pointed, her voice carrying a note of concern. "The patterns are becoming more ordered. This isn't natural." Janet adjusted her glasses, frowning at the data. Could it be interference from our equipment? No. Thera's skin dimmed slightly, a sign they'd learned indicated deep concentration. This is something else. The quantum fabric itself is being manipulated. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Manipulated by what? Before Thera could answer, the quantum sensors spiked. Energy cascaded through the arrays, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to shiver. Thera gasped, her crystalline form pulsing with unexpected brilliance. "Something's coming through," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder and fear. "Something from the deep quantum realm." The air in the center of the lab began to shimmer, particles of light coalescing into strange patterns. Janet's instruments were recording impossible readings, while Thera's skin flickered with responsive patterns of light. "It's beautiful," she breathed, reaching out toward the phenomenon. "But dangerous. The quantum signatures. They're like nothing I've ever sensed before." Marcus moved to stop her, but Thera had already made contact with the shimmering air. Energy surged through her crystalline form, and for a brief moment, everyone in the lab saw what she could see. The quantum realm laid bare, infinite possibilities spinning out in all directions. When the energy faded, Thera remained standing, but her crystalline skin had changed. New patterns swirled beneath its surface, and her opal sensors shifted through colors never seen before. "The barrier between realms is thinning," she announced, her voice carrying new harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. "What we thought were random quantum fluctuations are actually messages, signals from somewhere else." Janet's instruments confirmed it. Something fundamental had changed in the quantum fabric around them, and Thera, already extraordinary in her perceptions, had been transformed by the contact. "My abilities," she said, examining her altered form. "They've expanded. I can see deeper now, further into the quantum realm than any Lumini has ever perceived." She turned to Marcus, her expression serious despite her lack of conventional features. "But I also sense danger. Whatever is affecting the quantum fabric, it's not benign. We've attracted attention we may not want." Marcus looked at his team, then back at their alien colleague who had become so much more than just a research partner. "Then we need to understand it. Fast. What do you need from us?" Thera's skin pulsed with determination. "Everything you have, human technology combined with my enhanced perception, might be our only chance to prepare for what's coming." As the team mobilized, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that they'd crossed a threshold. Their quest to understand the quantum realm had opened a door, and now something was looking back through it. Something that saw their reality as nothing more than another quantum state to be manipulated. But they had one advantage: a blind alien who could see the truth of reality itself, now enhanced by powers they were only beginning to understand. The question was, would it be enough to face what was coming? The discovery. The quantum research facility had transformed over the past month. New equipment lined the walls, designed to amplify and channel Thera's enhanced abilities. Marcus watched as she stood in the center of what they now called the resonance chamber, her crystalline form radiating patterns of light that danced across the specialized sensors. "The signals are getting stronger," Thera announced, her opal sensors pulsing with intense colors. "They're no longer just random patterns. There's purpose behind them." Dr. Torres monitored the quantum fluctuations from her station, her face illuminated by streams of data. "The mathematical consistency is undeniable. These are definitely encoded messages." Marcus approached the chamber's edge, studying the holographic representations of what Thera perceived. Since her transformation, her ability to interpret quantum signals had grown exponentially, but so had the strain it placed on her crystalline form. "You're pushing too hard," he said, noticing the dimming patterns beneath her surface. "We should take a break." "No time," Thera replied, her voice carrying harmonics that made the air vibrate. "The barrier continues to thin. Whatever's trying to break through, it's getting closer." Suddenly, all the instruments in the lab spiked simultaneously. Thera's form blazed with light, and for a moment, reality seemed to fold in on itself. When it stabilized, she was trembling. "I saw them," she whispered, her voice filled with awe and terror. "The quantum architects. They exist in a realm where probability is solid and certainty is fluid. They're reshaping our reality." Marcus helped her step down from the chamber, supporting her weakened form. "Why? What do they want?" "Resources." Thera's skin rippled with disturbing patterns, but not physical ones. "They feed on probability itself. They consume quantum potential, leaving behind nothing. Dead space where possibility once existed." Dr. Torres looked up from her readings, face pale. "We're detecting quantum dead zones appearing across the solar system. Small now, but growing. How do we stop them?" Marcus asked, still supporting Thera as her strength slowly returned. "We don't," she replied. "Not directly. But my people evolved our quantum perception for a reason. Our homeworld, it wasn't always radiation-soaked. The architects visited us once before, eons ago. The radiation is all that's left of their feeding." The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. "Your species survived them." "More than survived." Thera's form brightened slightly. "We adapted, developed our abilities to perceive and influence quantum states, but we never understood why until now. We're not just observers of quantum reality, we're its defenders." She straightened, her crystalline form beginning to pulse with new purpose. "That's why I was drawn here. Why all Lumini are born with these abilities. We're meant to maintain quantum stability, to preserve probability itself. But we've never had the technological framework to properly channel our abilities. Until now," Marcus finished, understanding dawning. "Human technology combined with Lumini perception could create a quantum barrier," Dr. Torres interrupted, fingers flying across her console. "If we can amplify Thera's abilities enough, spread them across a wide enough area, we could stabilize local space-time," Thera confirmed. "Prevent the architects from consuming our reality's quantum potential, but it would take more power than I can channel alone." Marcus studied the readings, mind racing. What about the other Lumini? Could they help? "They're already on their way." Thera's skin rippled with urgency. "But we need something more. My transformation when I touched the quantum phenomenon, it wasn't random. The architects didn't account for one thing when they began their invasion." "What's that?" "Human creativity," she said, turning to face Marcus. "Your species doesn't just observe and adapt. You innovate, create new possibilities. Every time you invent something new, every time you imagine a different way of doing things, you generate quantum potential. You're probability generators." Dr. Torres looked up from her calculations. "Are you saying humans naturally create the very thing these architects consume?" "Yes." Thera's form pulsed with excitement. "And if we can harness that creative energy, combine it with Lumini perception and human technology, we might have a chance to do more than just defend. We might be able to push them back. But as hope began to rise in the lab, the quantum sensors screamed a warning. Reality buckled, and through the distortion, they caught their first glimpse of what they faced. Beings of pure probability, shifting and flowing like living mathematics. The quantum architects had arrived, and the battle for reality itself was about to begin. Unity through adversity. The Mount Wilson facility buzzed with desperate activity as reality itself seemed to unravel around them. Dozens of lumini had arrived, their crystalline forms creating a symphony of light as they channeled their quantum abilities through human technology. At the center of it all, Thera and Marcus worked to complete their last hope. A quantum stabilization network. The dead zones are expanding exponentially. Dr. Torres called out, her voice tense as she monitored the global sensor network. We're losing quantum potential across entire continents. Thera's form pulsed with strain as she interpreted the quantum patterns. The architects are more aggressive than before. They've learned from their encounter with my ancestors. They're not just feeding. They're trying to collapse all probability at once. Marcus watched as another bank of sensors overloaded, their circuits fried by the impossible readings they were detecting. Through the facility's windows, he could see the sky shifting with unnatural colors as quantum distortions bent light in ways it was never meant to move. The stabilization network, he said, checking the final connections. How close are we? Almost ready, Thera replied, her opal sensors flickering through colors that human eyes were never meant to see. But there's a problem. The power requirements. They're higher than we calculated. Even with all the lumini channeling their abilities, we need more. Dr. Torres looked up from her station. What about the particle accelerator? We could divert all power from the western seaboard. It won't be enough. Thera's voice carried harmonics of frustration. We need something more than just energy. We need. She stopped suddenly, her crystalline form blazing with sudden insight. Marcus, your brainwave patterns. When you're problem-solving, creating new theories, I can see quantum potential literally forming around you, around all humans when they create. Marcus understood immediately. You want to use human creativity as a power source. Not just creativity. Thera moved closer, her form casting prismatic patterns across his face. Human potential itself. Your species' greatest strength is your ability to imagine possibilities that don't exist yet. Every time you do, you generate quantum potential, the very thing the architects consume. The building shuddered as another reality wave hit. Through the windows, they could see the quantum architects now, vast, shifting forms that seemed to exist in too many dimensions at once, their very presence causing probability to collapse around them. How do we harness human potential? Dr. Torres asked, already typing commands into the system. We broadcast. Marcus realized, the idea forming even as he spoke. Not just locally, globally. We show everyone what's happening. Get them thinking, creating, imagining solutions. Yes, Thera's form pulsed with excitement. Human minds working together, generating quantum potential faster than the architects can consume it, combined with lumini perception and your technology. She didn't finish as another reality wave hit, stronger than before. Equipment sparked and failed across the lab. Through the chaos, Marcus could see the quantum dead zones on the monitors, spreading like cancer across the planet. We're out of time, he announced, making a decision. Dr. Torres, initiate the emergency broadcast system. Get every screen, every device showing what's happening. Thera, link the lumini into the network. I'll handle the power distribution. As they worked, humanity began to respond. Millions, then billions of minds focused on the crisis, each one generating quantum potential in their own unique way. Artists created, scientists theorized, children imagined, and with each new thought, each new possibility, reality itself began to stabilize. The lumini channeled this storm of human potential through their quantum perception, focusing it through the stabilization network. Thera stood at the center, her crystalline form now blazing like a star as she directed the combined power of two species working as one. But the architects weren't retreating. If anything, they seemed to be gathering their strength for one final assault. As reality trembled on the brink, Marcus realized they needed something more. Not just power or creativity or perception, but something uniquely human. They needed hope, a new beginning. The quantum stabilization network hummed with unprecedented power as billions of human minds poured their creativity into the system. Thera's crystalline form had become almost transparent, pure energy flowing through her as she channeled the combined potential of two species. But the quantum architects remained, their vast forms distorting space-time around them. "Something's wrong," Dr. Torres called out, her voice barely audible over the network's resonance. "The architects, they're adapting, learning from each attempt we make to stop them." Marcus watched as Thera struggled to maintain control of the overwhelming energy flowing through her. Her opal sensors flickered erratically, and cracks were beginning to form in her crystalline surface. "They're not just consuming probability anymore," Thera gasped, her voice carrying harmonics of pain. "They're using our own creativity against us, turning each new idea into a weapon. We need. What?" Marcus moved closer despite the energy crackling around her. "What do we need?" "Something they can't predict, can't consume." Her form pulsed weakly. "Humans generate quantum potential through creativity, but there's something else you create that's even more powerful." Understanding hit Marcus like a thunderbolt. Connection. Relationships. The quantum potential generated when minds and hearts align. Yes. Thera's form brightened momentarily. The architects exist in isolation, consuming but never creating, never connecting. They can't understand or predict the quantum patterns generated by genuine bonds between beings. Dr. Torres was already adjusting the network. "The global broadcast, we can shift it. Instead of just showing people the threat, we show them each other. Every act of kindness, every moment of connection." The lab's screens came alive with images from around the world. People helping strangers in quantum-distorted cities, families holding together against reality waves, communities uniting to face the impossible. With each genuine connection, new patterns of quantum potential formed, patterns the architects couldn't predict or consume. Thera's voice carried wonder. "The quantum signatures, they're changing." Human emotional connections generate patterns similar to Lumini quantum perception. As if both our species evolved to protect reality in different ways, Marcus finished. "You through direct perception and manipulation, us through our ability to connect and create." The architects' forms began to shift, their consumption of probability slowing as they encountered quantum patterns they couldn't process. But they weren't retreating. If anything, they seemed to be gathering for one final assault. "They're going to try to collapse all local space-time," Thera announced, her form trembling with the effort of maintaining the network. "One massive consumption of all probability at once." Marcus looked at the monitors showing humanity's response to the crisis, then at the Lumini working in perfect harmony with human technology. An idea formed, dangerous, possibly impossible, but filled with the kind of improbable hope that humans specialized in. "What if we don't fight them?" he suggested. "What if we try to connect with them instead?" Thera's sensors locked onto him. "They're not like us, Marcus. They don't understand connection. Then let's teach them." He turned to Dr. Torres. "Reconfigure the network. Instead of using human connection to generate defensive barriers, let's project it directly at them. Show them what they've been missing." The architect's assault began just as they made the changes. Reality buckled, probability collapsed, and for a moment it seemed like everything would end. But through the quantum stabilization network, powered by the combined perception of the Lumini and the infinite connections of humanity, something miraculous happened. The architects paused. Through Thera's enhanced perception, merged with human technology, they experienced connection for the first time. felt the quantum potential generated not by consumption, but by genuine bonds between beings. Their forms shifted, changed, became something new. They're transforming, Thera whispered in awe. The quantum patterns, they're learning to generate probability instead of consuming it. The reality distortions began to fade. The quantum dead zones started to heal. The architects, transformed by their exposure to connection, withdrew not in defeat, but in transformation. They had discovered a new way of existing, one that created rather than consumed. As the crisis passed, Thera's form finally stabilized, the cracks in her crystalline surface healing, as reality reasserted itself. But both she and Marcus knew that everything had changed. Humanity and the Lumini had done more than save reality. They had discovered a fundamental truth about existence itself. We were meant to find each other, Thera said softly, her form glowing with renewed purpose. Not just to stop the architects, but to show them, and ourselves, that the strongest force in any reality is the connection between beings. Marcus looked at the data showing new quantum patterns forming across the planet. Humans and Lumini working together, creating possibilities that had never existed before. So what happens now? Thera's form pulsed with what he had learned to recognize as joy. Now we explore those possibilities. Together. The Quantum Research Facility at Mount Wilson had become more than a laboratory. It was the birthplace of a new era, where human creativity and alien perception would combine to protect and enhance reality itself. The architect's invasion had failed, but it had given birth to something far more powerful, a partnership that would reshape the very fabric of existence, one connection at a time.